Stand by. Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Yeah, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, February 8th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. Well, it is the second full week in February, and we know it's African American History Month. And this is already a busy African American History Month. Yes, on yesterday's show, we talked about the documentary that was going to air on PBS on Monday, February 8th. It's going to air today. And it is dealing with the history of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it aired on PBS, American Experience on PBS. The name of the documentary is Goin Back to T-Town. Goin Back to T-Town. And it originally aired in 1993. And they re-aired it because of this year, 2021, is the 100th year anniversary of the Tulsa massacre in Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood district. So we're going to talk some about the documentary. I watched a lot of it. And there's a big article from the Tulsa World newspaper, TulsaWorld.com, that I talked about some on yesterday's show. PBS to rebroadcast 1993 documentary on Black Wall Street. So this article is 33 pages. And I know it's 33 pages because I printed the article out. And this is 33 pages, right? Ink cartridge going out on me. The color ink cartridge is going out on me. But we're going to deal with some of this history. It's a good topic to talk about during African American History Month, okay? And when we talk about the history of Black Wall Street, we tie into the history of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the history of Oklahoma, and we deal with the Indian Removal Act of 1830, and we deal with the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians who all owned African slaves. We deal with the Civil War and Reconstruction and African Americans leaving the South, searching for a better way of life, and many of them going out to Western territories. So it ties into all of that history, okay? And we deal with racism, and we deal with the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, and all different types of things like that, okay? So we'll talk some about that documentary. Did you see it? If you saw it, give us a call, 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600. On PBS this evening, they re-aired a documentary from 1993 about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, called Goin Back to T-Town, Going Back to T-Town. T-Town meaning Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we'll discuss that some. I took notes on it also, watching the documentary. Then we're going to talk a little bit about this story out of Utah. Very interesting story out of Utah. Now these two stories are connected. Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The jealousy and ignorance of some white people that want to destroy this African American town, North Tulsa, after you segregated African Americans. You segregated them. You didn't want them living among you. Now you let domestics, maids and butlers, you let them live among you and have living quarters because they work for you. But you segregate yourself, and you segregate African Americans away from you because you don't want to live with them. Then they become very prosperous, and you have oil discovered in Oklahoma in general, but especially Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the early 1900s. So then you want to destroy the communities that they have created after you segregated them. All right. Now, you have a story out of Utah. And Utah has a very small African American population in the first place. But you have a story out of Utah. Many people have seen articles about this. And there was it was at a charter school in Utah that allowed the parents to opt their children out of the Black History Month lessons. They allowed the parents to opt their children out of the Black History Month lessons. Well, African American History Month or Black History Month is not just for African Americans. Okay. It was created primarily for us, but when we deal with these lessons need to be taught in every school across the country. And when you study Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who co-founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, September 9th, 1915, in Chicago, Dr. Carter G. Woodson was an educator. And he said that the history of African Americans had to be taught in every school across the country, not just schools where African American students went. They need to be taught in every school across the country, because he said that the prejudice and bigotry and racism that we faced, that African Americans faced, largely came from people not understanding our history and understanding the contributions that African Americans have made to this country and made to the world in general. So he said that the history of African Americans need to be taught in every school across the country. So when you look at a destruction of Black Wall Street, and we rebuilt Black Wall Street, we rebuilt North Tulsa after the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. That's a part of the story that oftentimes gets left out of the discussion. We'll focus on the destruction, but we don't focus on the resurrection. So when you tie Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to what took place in Utah at Maria Montessori Academy in Utah, you see a continuum of the ignorance. You see a continuum of the ignorance. Now, the NAACP got involved, and the school had a change of, they changed their minds. They reversed that decision, that horrible decision. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We know that Bob Marley's birthday just passed. We didn't get a chance to talk about it on our show yesterday, so we're going to try to squeeze that in as well. Okay. Now, my online course is kicking off Tuesday, February 9th. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So this is a 8-week, 16-hour online course that I teach, and we deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. And we deal with ancient Egypt and the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. And when we deal with the transatlantic slave trade, we can't start dealing with our history in slavery, shackled in chains and conquered by Europeans. We have to understand that African people are the original people of North, Central, and South America. And we were in the land that today we call the United States of America, going back at least 51,700 years. And if you read The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence by Dr. David Imhotep, which is one of the books I reference in the course, he deals with this history and the evidence of it as well. Okay, so the class starts up February 9th. It's 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do it live at our online school. We do the classes live. I have a PowerPoint presentation, video clips, book references, articles, and then all the sessions are recorded so you can go back and watch it over and over again. You don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about trying to attend class at a certain time, what have you. You can join us live, but if even if you miss the class, you can go back and watch it over and over again. You can watch from around the world. So the class is regularly $130. Is on sale $80. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register right now. As soon as you register, you can start watching the bonus content. You can start watching the content from the class that I did in 2019. Okay, there's bonus content there. So it's eight consecutive Tuesdays, and we're doing this starting in African American History Month. So the whole course is about 16 hours. All right. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So we just posted a link here, and also it's on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register there. If you like this type of information, also you can donate to the African History Network. You can support us, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow, paypal.me/TheAHNShow, or at our website. Okay, so we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. We're coming up on a break. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. Did you see the documentary about Black Wall Street on PBS today? If you saw it, or if you've seen other documentaries, give us a call. Let us know what you thought. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Kemeticwear.com is the go-to online source for Kemetic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Kemeticwear.com is inspired by KemeticScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at Kemeticwear.com.
For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com. Visit 4glossygirls.com. That's the number 4glossygirls.com, and follow them on Instagram at 4glossygirls.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees products line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, WFDF. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, February 8th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. 313-778-7600. Here's the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. All right, so right before the break, I was talking a little bit about this documentary that aired on American Experience on PBS this evening. It's from 1993. It's called Goin Back To T-Town, and it's an hour-long documentary about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. Now, they're re-airing it because this year is the 100th year anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. I have done a 2.5-hour lecture dealing with the history of Black Wall Street as well. This is Black Wall Street from Destruction to the Resurrection of Economic Empowerment. It's available at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's on DVD and digital download. So I've done a lot of research dealing with the history of Black Wall Street. So the film is produced by Sam Pollard and Joyce Vaughn, and it was written by Tulsa native Carmen Fields, who's a journalist and media consultant, who's now based in Boston, Massachusetts. The film is narrated by Ossie Davis. Now, the film is from 1993, so we know Ossie Davis has passed on. John Hope Franklin, the great African-American historian, is in the film because his family's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's passed on as well. The executive producer of American Experience is Cameo George. Cameo George said in a statement, "Going Back to T-Town is a film that was made for the series nearly 30 years ago, and yet it remains shockingly relevant today. Being able to pull this film out of the vault for rebroadcast is a special opportunity and a reminder of the unique legacy of the series." Now, when this film premiered in 1993, the Tulsa World newspaper, the Tulsa World's Review, called it a slick and intelligent piece of documentary filmmaking that should intrigue longtime Greenwood aficionados and newcomers to the story alike. Now, and the Tulsa World is a historic newspaper. The Tulsa World newspaper was in existence when the Tulsa Race Massacre took place. Now, the story includes pointing out that the true legacy of Greenwood was not the destruction visited upon the community in 1921, but how it had managed to thrive before and after the massacre. Okay. Before and after the massacre, because one of the most important things to understand, I think, when we deal with the history of Black Wall Street, probably two of the most important things to understand is one, we rebuilt Black Wall Street after the race riot, and we rebuilt it with our own money after the race massacre. We rebuilt it with our own money. We did not get help from the federal government. The city of Tulsa passed an ordinance that made it harder for us to rebuild, because they passed an ordinance stating that new structures had to be fireproof or something like that. So they tried to make it harder for us to rebuild. And we rebuilt it with our own dollars, and it was a thriving community again. Secondly, the history of Tulsa, Oklahoma ties into the history of African Americans and Native Americans, because Tulsa was founded by Creek Indians around 1836. And these Creek Indians got pushed off of their land in southeastern United States because of the Indian Removal Act of 1830, okay, signed into law by President Andrew Jackson. And we know that when we talk about Lewis Cass, who Cass Technical High School is named after, we know that Lewis Cass was Secretary of War in President Andrew Jackson's cabinet. Okay, Lewis Cass, the Cass Technical High School is named after that I graduated from, and we know that Lewis Cass owned at least one slave as well. He wasn't a big time slave owner, but he owned at least one slave. And Lewis Cass helped to facilitate the he helped to facilitate the Indian Removal Act also. Okay, helped carry that out. As Secretary of War in President Andrew Jackson's cabinet, 1831 to 1836, Lewis Cass directed the conduct of the Black Hawk and Seminole Wars. There was also an article from what publication was that? It was one in Michigan, and it was dealing with this one right here. Click on Detroit.com. I think this was one. Michigan Governor. Let's see, is this the right one here? Michigan Governor Lansing's Lewis Cass building renamed to Elliott Larson Building. This is something Governor Gretchen Whitmer did in 2020, and it dealt with some of the history of Lewis Cass and him serving in President Andrew Jackson's cabinet also. Okay, so check out this article as well from click on Detroit.com, Channel 4 in Detroit. Michigan Governor Lansing's Lewis Cass building renamed to Elliott Larson Building. This is from June 30th, 2020. Okay, so check out that article. We'll post a link here. All right. So when you hear people talking about renaming Cass Technical High School, and I'm one of them that says it should be renamed because our institutions of higher learning and our most coveted institutions should not be named after slave masters, and it should not be named after Europeans who worked to keep our people enslaved. It should be named after our freedom fighters, not those working against our freedom. That's just common sense. People who respect themselves and understand their history and culture don't name their institutions after those who work to keep them oppressed. They name their institutions after those who fought against the oppressors and worked to liberate their people. But that's another show. So the story includes pointing out that the legacy of Greenwood was not the destruction visited upon the community in 1921, but how it had managed to thrive before and after the massacre. Now, as the Tulsa World's Review states, Greenwood had been founded before statehood, before Oklahoma became a state in the Union. Oklahoma becomes a state in the Union in 1907. Okay, this ties into a lot of history. And what happens is when Oklahoma becomes a state in the Union, the state legislature of Oklahoma starts passing all these laws to legalize segregation. Okay, so because this is after Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896 U.S. Supreme Court case. So they start passing all these laws in the state legislature to legalize segregation. And when we talk about Bass Reeves, the legendary lawman, who it's believed the Lone Ranger character is based off of. Bass Reeves lived in Oklahoma, and he was a deputy marshal, a deputy U.S. marshal in Oklahoma. Well, when the U.S. when Oklahoma becomes a state in the Union in 1907, Bass Reeves is forced to retire because he's African American. Now he's part of, Creek ancestry, but he's African American. He's black, and because of segregation laws now he can't serve as U.S. Deputy Marshal, even though he had arrested like 3,000 criminals and he was like the greatest lawman of all time. But because of racism and white supremacy, now he can't serve as a lawman. So this all ties into the history of Oklahoma. Let me see. Let's pull up this picture here of Bass Reeves. We'll pull this up. Call-in number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Bass Reeves is somebody really good to talk about at any time, but especially during African American History Month, because he's not somebody that is often discussed. A lot of times we deal with the civil rights superheroes, or we deal with the same 15 to 20 sanitized Negroes every year that are acceptable to talk about and oftentimes deemed non-threatening to white people, and it's acceptable to talk about them. So, but here's a picture of Bass Reeves, okay? And there's a book by Art Burton about Bass Reeves. And what's the name of that book here? We'll pull it up. Yeah, Black Gun, Silver Star, The Life and Legend of Frontier Marshal Bass Reeves. I have the book. It's in another stack of books. I have like 2 or 3 stacks of books behind this desk. So it's in another stack of books. Black Gun, Silver Star, The Life and Legend of Bass Reeves. Okay, so check that out as well. That book, it came out in 2008. And we'll show you a picture of the book here so you could check that out. And Art Burton was, I think, probably the first one that drew the comparison between Bass Reeves and the Lone Ranger. Okay. Black Gun, Silver Star, the life and legend of Frontier Marshal Bass Reeves. So when we deal with this history, this takes us in many different directions. Okay. And it deals with everything from Bass Reeves to Sarah Rector. We talked about Sarah Rector, the richest Afro-American girl in America at the time, who became basically a millionaire. She's about 12 years old or something. It was in 1913. And we talk about Sarah Rector, okay? And Sarah Rector was, her family, her parents were descendants of, they were former slaves to Creek Indians. And they got land because of the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866 and land distributed through the Dawes Allotment Act. And oil is going to be discovered on her land. Okay. Oil is going to be discovered on land that she owned. So all this history is connected. Let's look at this. There was an article from face-to-faceafrica.com about Sarah Rector. And we talked about Sarah Rector on the show last week. Meet Sarah Rector, the 12-year-old who became America's youngest Black millionaire in 1913. Okay, it's a fascinating story about Sarah Rector. And then when you deal with stories like this ties you into the founding of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Indian Removal Act of 1830, the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866. It ties you into the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians that all owned African slaves. It's a deep, deep history that this connects you to. Okay. And then it also deals with nationality. And what's important to understand is that the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866, those are laws that are still on the books today. And those five, what are known as the 5 civilized tribes of Native Americans, they're still getting benefits from those treaties today. They get free taxes and free college tuition and free radio station licenses, free TV station licenses, different things like this. And many of our ancestors were in these treaties, and they got pushed out of these treaties in 1941 when the U.S. government conspired with the 5 civilized tribes of Native Americans to reclassify or rewrite what it means to be a Native American. And it stated that you had to have 1 quantum or 1/4 Native American blood. But the previous treaties did not state that. And so they're pushing African people out of these treaties. All right, so check out this article here from face-to-faceafrica.com. Meet Sarah Rector, the 12-year-old who became America's youngest Black millionaire in 1913. Because all this history is connected. Now, as if we flip over here to the article here, I pulled it up. It's okay. It's right here. We'll go to the phone lines in just a second here. I'll show this to you. And once again, I mean, this whole article, you could teach a number of different. I mean, this article makes a good topic for African American History Month. You can teach a number of different lessons and do a number of different presentations from this article. So, as Tulsa, hold on, let me see something here. As the Tulsa World's Review states, the Tulsa World newspaper, as their review of the documentary states, Greenwood had been founded before statehood, and the residents dug in and refused to be crushed by the oppressive Jim Crow laws, which the new legislators passed among their first orders of business. This is like the first thing that they're doing, passing segregation laws at the state legislature level. Now, the film features interviews from many Oklahomans who witnessed the history of Greenwood firsthand, including such notables as the late John Hope Franklin, the great historian and scholar, and then local historian Curry Ballard and Oklahoman Eagle publisher James Goodwin. But the Tulsa World's Review stated it's the words of the show's less prominent interview subjects that really make the documentary Goin Back to T-Town sing. Robert Fairchild, Rosa B. Skinner, Maxine Horner, Mabel Little, Joe Burns, and Hobart Jarrett are among the many Tulsa residents who helped recall a time when the whole shooting match was in Greenwood. So they interviewed a lot of survivors of this Tulsa massacre. They were little children at the time. They interviewed many of them. When the area was a complete business district that adapted the Iron Curtain of segregation into a profitable self-sufficiency. Let's go to the phone lines quickly. Let's go to William, line 1. William, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for holding. Tell us where you're calling from. Williams.
William, yeah. I'm calling from what?
You calling from where?
Yeah, I'm coming from West Bloomfield.
West Bloomfield. Okay.
You know, I have several questions.
Okay.
The one main question is, does these blacks who teach at these universities, teaching black studies, do they teach this kind of black history at the universities that they teach at? The second question is, the Moors, they were from Australia, right?
Moors are from Africa.
Africa, yeah, but that's right. That's right. But the blacks that reside in Australia, what is their economic condition now? I forgot what you call them.
Oh, the Aborigines. The Aborigines.
Yes.
Oh, they're at the bottom.
Yeah,
they're at the bottom. They're at the bottom. We may do a segment. I think probably face-to-faceafrica.com has some articles on them. But yeah, they're at the bottom of the social class and things like that.
I remember the Moors. Yeah, that was not. They were an aggressive group. I remember reading about them. You know, getting back to black studies.
Yeah. So
these universities.
Well, let me answer the question. So black studies is not necessarily African American history. Black studies can encompass a number of different things like literature, African American literature, things like that. So you would have to look at like the Africana Studies departments or the African American history departments would be more in line of what I'm talking about. So you have some people like Dr. Molefi Kete Asante at Temple University. I know Dr. Asante is a friend of mine, brilliant. He's written over 70 books. So he'll deal with information like this. Dr. Jose Pimenta Bay, I think he's still at Berea College. Dr. Jose Pimenta Bay teaches history. He teaches classes on the history of the Moors. He used to teach at Temple University because I interviewed him back in 2010. So you want to look at like the African American Studies Department or the whatever they call it, the Pan African Department, whatever. You have Dr. Greg Carr at Howard University. Dr. Greg Carr is a friend of mine. We're both panelists on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So Dr. Greg Carr would teach a lot of this type of information. He's a brilliant historian. And then you have people who retired, like two of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Professor James Small, who used to teach at City College in New York. And then you have Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. He's retired from New Paltz University. He taught at New Paltz University. But you have people like Professor Manu and Pim at Contra Costa College out in California. Brilliant historian. He deals with ancient African history. So there's some out there. You want to look at the Africana Studies departments, African American history departments, and history departments.
You know, it's a funny thing. I'm much older than you are, but at my age, you are a second J.A. Rogers.
Oh.
Because you bring a lot of data to the table.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm telling you.
Thank you.
I was 19 when I was exposed to J.A. Rogers.
Right.
And my whole thinking turned because I was educated in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the only thing I learned at the time was Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, and that was it.
Right.
And when I started reading J.A. Rogers, now I became very angry.
Right.
The fact that I could go through a whole Detroit school system and not learn what I learned from there. But you're the second J.A. for me at my older age.
Joel Augustus Rogers. Okay. All right. Thanks, brother. Thanks for the compliment. Okay.
I know you know about it.
Oh yeah. Joel Augustus Rogers. Yeah. And that's somebody who Malcolm X read. You know, now Malcolm X was also good friends with Dr. John Henrik Clark, one of our great Grandmaster Scholar warriors, and Dr. Clark provided Malcolm with a lot of historical information, but Malcolm also studied J.A. Rogers as well. Okay, brother.
If I wanted to have you to do a thing, what would I do?
Email me. You have email? Do you have email?
Yes.
Yeah. Email me at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Yes.
Let me write that real quick. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
African
customer service. Customer service at African.
African customer service.
Customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Yes.
Network.
Yeah, customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, send me an email, Williams. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. All right. Okay, no problem. All right. Yeah, if you all want me to speak at an African American History Month event or anything like that, there's some virtual events. I'm doing one on the 16th, a virtual event for a corporation. They're bringing me in. Email me at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so very quickly here, we'll probably talk some more about this documentary tomorrow. There's so much to it. So the film premiered in 1993, and it aired on PBS back in 1993, and they re-aired it today. So you have well-known people and not so well-known people who are interviewed, many of them survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Now, while the events of the 1921 Tulsa Massacre take up a fair amount of the documentary's running time, the Tulsa World's Review said, quote, the documentary's finest moments take place during the recounting of how Greenwood rebuilt and preserved. And, like I said, this is like the most, probably the most important part of the story of Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's not that we built Black Wall Street and the Greenwood District. The Greenwood District was the business district which started at the intersection of and Pine, GAP, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. So it's believed this is where the Gap Band got their name from, Gap, GAP, because they're from Tulsa, Oklahoma. is not that they built Black Wall Street. It's that they rebuilt it with their own dollars. That's like the most, to me, that's, having studied this and having read Hannibal B. Johnson's book on Black Wall Street, which is probably one of the best books dealing with the history of Black Wall Street. This one right here, Black Wall Street from Riot to Renaissance in Tulsa's historic Greenwood District. So I think probably the most important part is that we rebuilt it with our own dollars. Okay, so if we look quickly here, and we're going to continue this discussion on our social media platforms. So those watching us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, keep watching, because we only have a few more minutes left here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. The documentary's finest moments take place during the recounting of how Greenwood rebuilt and preserved, becoming recognized as the largest Black business section in the United States only 15 years after it had been put to the torch. Okay, so they're talking about 15 years after 1921. They're talking about 15 years after the Tulsa Race Massacre. Okay, they rebuilt it, and it was the Greenwood district, which was the business district, was recognized as the largest Black business section in the United States after they rebuilt it. See, this is one of our greatest success stories, I think, in the history of this country that we have to study. And then by the early 1900s, there were about 27 all-Black towns in Oklahoma as well, and we had a number of African-American owned newspapers there in Oklahoma also. However, this period of prosperity fell victim to the integration and urban renewal policies in the 1960s, along with the construction of Interstate 244 through the heart of the community. So this deals with the U.S. Interstate Highway Acts of 1952 and 1956. Okay, the U.S. Interstate Highway Acts of 1952 and 1956 that drove about 41,000 miles of U.S. interstate highway all across the country, and it runs through approximately 1,600 African-American communities all across the country, wiping out houses, disrupting businesses, disrupting communities. Okay, so and this is taking place during the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement wasn't saying we want to sit at a lunch counter and be served by white people so we can destroy our own businesses. That's not what it was about. We were talking about we want first-class citizenship. We want first-class citizenship now. But that's the same thing we were fighting for at the end of World War I, when those African-American men came back, and those veterans who fought in World War I, they came back and they're fighting for all of our rights. We want first-class citizenship right now in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, in North Tulsa, because the African-Americans lived in North Tulsa and the white people lived in the southern portion of Tulsa. And what separated North Tulsa from South Tulsa was the railroad tracks. You had a lot of retired World War I African-American veterans who lived in North Tulsa. So when the attack takes place, the massacre takes place June 1st, 1921, we were armed and we were shooting back also. It wasn't just we were just running and being shot and attacked. No, we were fighting back and shooting back as well. You had brothers that knew how to fight. That's another part of the story that's left out also. Okay. All right. Now, be sure to register for my online course. It starts Tuesday, February 9th. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com is right on the homepage. We also posted a link here as well. We do it live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. It's regularly $130 on sale, $80. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content from the 2019 class that I did. All right, remember, right now it's correct. Wrong behavior is not overdue. We win Wakanda forever. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. Okay, African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast so that you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. We have a couple more, 2 or 3 more slots available, and I'm working on commercials now also. Let me show you this quickly here. So at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, when you go to the website, you want to register for the online course, scroll down, you see information for the African History Network show. You see me, you know you're in the right place. You can read all the articles that I write. Click here, read articles by Michael Imhotep. Here's the information for the online class. Okay, and you see the flyer. Starts February 9th, 2021. And even if you know friends that you want to join the class, they find out after February 9th, they can still join. Okay, click here for register here. It takes you to the next page. Click right here, enroll. And as soon as you register, click here for enroll. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content from the 2019 class that I did because it's archived there. There's bonus content. Okay. All right. So we just posted the link here for ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business. Know your numbers and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business. Encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. BlackBusinessTee.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com.
Do you have an idea or business that requires app development or thinking of moving your IT resources to the cloud? We have post-paid and profit-sharing plans for unique ideas or profitable businesses. Who can take advantage of this unique program? Entrepreneurs with unique ideas, startups, small to medium businesses. Contact us, 267-209-0352.
Visit nomadicsystems.net, nomadicsystems.net today. Intuitive Design Clothing is an online accessory store that's one-of-a-kind signature statement pieces for men and women. They also specialize in fashion consultations, closet organization, and decorating small spaces. Are you looking for a statement piece for a special affair, or would you like to add some select pieces to your ensemble of accessories? If you're looking for something different, definitely contact Kathy Norman, owner and CEO of Intuitive Design Clothing. Visit their website, intuitivedesignClothing.com. That's intuitivedesignClothing.com. And you can email her at info@intuitivedesignClothing.com. Intuitive Design Clothing is where every entrance is a grand entrance. Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products.
Okay, let's continue here quickly, and we'll talk about this some more tomorrow, because there's so much here, and there's so much history that this documentary touches on. We know that the impeachment trial, the second impeachment trial of Benedict Donald Trump, the first Russian president of the United States, that begins on Tuesday, February 9th also. So we'll talk about that some on tomorrow's show. That is going to be must-see TV. That's going to be must-see TV, seriously. All right, so however, this period of prosperity fell victim to the integration and urban renewal policies of the 1960s, along with the construction of Interstate 244 through the heart of the community. The real fight was not for integration. The real fight was for desegregation. Okay, so a lot of times people misconstrue that. If you actually study the history, you know the real fight was for desegregation. We wanted equal access. We wanted all of our rights right now. We wanted first-class citizenship. We wanted to tear down the walls of Jim Crow segregation and the redlining and all of that stuff, the bigotry and the racism. We're trying to eradicate that and deal with the laws and deal with the policies. There was an article from thinkprogress.org that talked about how the highways were used to destroy African American communities. It's from May 31st, 2016. And people that like study history, they know about this. Okay. If we look at this article here, this is why you have to understand the chronology of history. This is taking place after World War II. World War II is a very pivotal time in the history of this country, because after World War II is going to end in 1945, and then you have the policies from the New Deal, especially the GI Bill in 1944. And when these men come back to the U.S., and they're having families, this starts the baby boomer generation. Now their families expanding, they have to buy houses, okay? And then you have the Federal Housing Act of 1949 that allowed white people to put 3% down on 3% down to get low interest loans on houses being built out in the newly formed suburbs. The suburbs are being formed. White people are moving out of these various inner city communities out to the suburbs. Then you're going to have also the deindustrialization of the inner city, where a lot of the factories, a lot of the plants are being moved from the inner city, where we are constantly going into, because this is also during the Great Migration of 1915 and 1970. So we're still moving from the south up north, and we're also going to start moving out west. And white people are moving out to the suburbs, taking their tax base with them, and taking the factories and things like this with them as well. So then what's going to happen when going into the late 60s and especially to the early 70s, when a lot of these urban areas start getting African American mayors and African American city councils, like here in Detroit, Coleman Alexander Young is sworn in January 1974. Okay, well, the white flight had already started before they're sworn in. The white flight had already started, and then you have an eroding tax base. You have a vacuum of jobs because the factories are being taken out of the inner city and being taken out to the suburbs. All right, so but you can trace all that back to at what happens after World War II. And then they're using the U.S. interstate highways to destroy a lot of these African American communities. So if we look at this article here, top infrastructure official explains how America used highways to destroy black neighborhoods. This is from March 31st, 2016. Top infrastructure official explains how America used highways to destroy black neighborhoods. So Transportation Secretary Anthony Foxx said, it's time for America to reckon with the role that highway projects too often played in ripping apart underprivileged communities around the country. In the first 20 years of the federal interstate system alone, Transportation Secretary Anthony Foxx said highway construction displaced 475,000 families and over 1 million Americans. Highway construction displaced 475,000 families and over 1 million Americans. Most of them were low income people of color in urban cores. It was Fox's second speech in as many days about how federal infrastructure projects contribute to inequality and poverty. Contribute to inequality and poverty, and how the agency wants to make up for it now. What the secretary is doing appears unprecedented, the Washington Post notes. Secretary Foxx, only the third African American to ever hold the top federal transportation policy job, is explicitly acknowledging and condemning a history of destroying black communities and stealing wealth from their residents through intentional decisions. Okay, so read the rest of this article. I don't have time to get through it. I just wanted to make that point because all this history ties together. This is why you have to understand a chronology of history. Historical events don't happen in a vacuum. They are the culmination of a sequence of historical events that lead up to a larger event happening. Okay, so check out that article from thinkprogress.org. And there are others. There are a lot of others. There's a really good article written by Marilyn Katz for InTheseTimes.com. And it is called Beyond the Myth of Black Misleadership. Beyond the Myth, Detroit's Downfall, Beyond the Myth of Black Misleadership. And there were a number of outlets that picked up this article. Originally, it appeared in InTheseTimes.com, but the history that happened to Detroit happened all across the country. And okay, let me see. They have it here. See, I think In These Times took it down or something, but there were some outlets that picked it up. Let me see something here. Deadline Detroit has a excerpt of the article. There's one from portside.org. They reprinted the article. I'm going to show this to you. When I deal with some of the history of Detroit, this is one of the articles that I cite. Detroit's Downfall, Beyond the Myth of Black Misleadership. Detroit's Downfall, Beyond the Myth of Black Misleadership. Because oftentimes people will blame the African American mayors for it, and it's like, wait a second. Detroit and other inner cities, they were on life support when we took these cities over, how federal policy. So name this article, Detroit's Downfall Beyond the Myth of Black Men's Leadership, how federal policy and big auto, the auto industry, drove black blight and white flight. Detroit's first black mayor, Coleman Young, and those that followed may not have known it, but Detroit was already on life support, and they were the hospice team. Detroit was already on life support, and they were the hospice team. And this article deals with World War II. It deals with the white flight, all of that. So check this article out. This is history, but what happened to Detroit happened to other big cities as well, with the deindustrialization of the inner city, the creation of the suburbs, using the redlining system to discriminate against African Americans trying to buy property and buy homes. If we look at this article here from blackpast.org, which deals with redlining, and redlining is created by a government entity called the Homeowners Loan Corporation, which was created in 1933. And the redlining process basically starts about 1937. All this comes from the federal government. Okay, all this comes from the federal government. This is dealing with public policy. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, the adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. So all this deals with the effect of policies and laws. So redlining, 1937. This is from blackpast.org. Redlining refers to a discriminatory pattern of disinvestment and obstructive lending practices that act as an impediment to home ownership among African Americans and other people of color. Banks used the concept to deny loans to homeowners and would-be homeowners who lived in these neighborhoods. This in turn resulted in neighborhood economic decline and the withholding of services or their provision at an exceptionally high cost. The origin of the term redlining stems from the policies developed by the Homeowners Loan Corporation, created in 1933 by the President Franklin Roosevelt administration to reduce home foreclosures during the Great Depression, and then institutionalized by the 1937 U.S. Housing Act, which established the Federal Housing Association, the FHA. Federal housing agencies, including the Homeowners Loan Corporation, the HOLC, and the FHA, the Federal Housing Association, determined whether areas were deemed unfit, for investment by banks, insurance companies, savings and loans associations, and other financial services companies. The areas were physically demarcated or marked with red shading on the map. In contrast, zones which were perceived which were to receive preferential lending status were marked in green shading, and intermediate areas in blue shading. Often, these decisions were arbitrarily based on the area's racial composition rather than income levels. While the practice was almost universal before 1968, the Civil Rights Act passed that year theoretically outlawed redlining. That's they're talking about the Fair Housing Act of 1968. The Fair Housing Act of 1968. It theoretically outlawed redlining, but it's going to take another 20 years before the laws are actually going to be enforced. When you go study the Federal Housing Act, it takes 20 years before the laws are actually enforced. Nonetheless, the impact was felt long after that date. In a series of Pulitzer Prize winning articles, which appeared in 1988 under the title The Color of Money, Atlanta Journal-Constitution reporter Bill Dedman described how Atlanta, Georgia banks still discriminated by the racial designation of neighborhoods. His article illustrated how these banks were nearly twice as likely to lend to homeowners and prospective home buyers in low-income white neighborhoods as in affluent black areas. Okay, so white people in low-income white neighborhoods were twice as likely to get twice as likely to get loans than African Americans in affluent African American neighborhoods. Go read this article here. This ties into laws and policies. Okay, so when we look at the it was an executive order from Joe Biden dealing with redlining and targeting redlining. This is what this is talking about. It wasn't on the first day. It was one of the ones from one of the later ones. He did 10 on the first day. The first day he did the one dealing with advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That was January 20th. There was another one that he did that dealt with redlining. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Okay, you have to go to whitehouse.gov. Whitehouse.gov is there. Let me see something here. You can read all executive orders at whitehouse.gov, which is the official website of the White House. This one right here. Yeah, this one right here. This is from January 26, 2021. Memorandum on redressing our nation's and the federal government's history of discriminatory housing practices and policies. This executive order was signed January 26, 2021. Memorandum on redressing our nation's and the federal government's history of discriminatory housing practices and policies. Memorandum for the Secretary of Authority investigators. Hope to read this. Federal, state, and local governments systematically implemented racially discriminatory housing policies that contributed to segregated neighborhoods and inhibited equal opportunity and a chance to build wealth for Black, Latino, Asian American, and Pacific Islanders and Native Americans, etc. Read this. This is an important executive order here. You need policy, you need laws to pass the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. But until you get that, you want executive orders to address these issues also. These include a racial gap in home ownership, persistent undervaluation of properties owned by families of color, a disproportionate burden of pollution and exposure to the impacts of climate change in communities of color, and systemic barriers to safe, accessible, and affordable housing for people of color, immigrants, individuals with disabilities, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, etc. Everything is dealing with underserved populations. Read this full executive order here, because this ties into a history of redlining and how redlining has been used disproportionately against African Americans, and is one of the tools that was used to help keep us from accumulating wealth as well when it comes to buying properties and buying real estate and being able to have the properties appreciate in value and create wealth. Okay, that executive order ties into all of that. All right, here for it. Let's continue because I've got to get out of here. We have to be back here tomorrow, and I have to get ready to teach this class. Okay, so if we look at where is that article? All right, back Tulsa World. Okay, here we go. Let me close out some of these tabs. All right, so back to this article here from the Tulsa World. Okay, so as Goodwin says in the film, quote, I don't think racial segregation is a good thing, but the quality of our lives in many respects was better in the days of segregation, and the challenge today is to make it as good or better. So yeah, they have pictures of the destruction that took place. In 1921, Tulsa was the home of one of the most prosperous African American communities in the country. Businesses flourished along Greenwood Avenue, dubbed Black Wall Street. According to a tradition by the great educator Booker T. Washington, residential neighborhoods spread out in a bustling community of several thousand souls. Okay. All right. So check this out. We'll talk some more about this on tomorrow's show, because this article is literally 33 pages. I'm going through reading it now. PBS to rebroadcast 1993 documentary about Black Wall Street on Monday. So it aired today. I don't know if they're going to rebroadcast it. Name of the documentary is Goin Back to T-Town. Goin Back to T-Town. You can check and see if it's on YouTube also. All right. Okay. These other stories we're going to get. There's a couple other stories we'll get to. We'll have to get to those on Tuesday. We'll look at this quickly here. Many people have seen this story dealing with this school, this Montessori school in Utah. Okay. And them allowing parents to opt their children out of Black History Month lessons, which is like really, it's like really dumb. It's dumb and insulting at the same time, because we don't have a choice usually to opt our children out of white history lessons or American history or something like that. It's a requirement. You need to take American history to graduate. Usually, most schools, you need to take American history, American government, something to graduate. So if we look at this article here very briefly, there was one from USA Today. I saw a number of different outlets, because first they reported that they let these parents opt their children out of the classes, but then the NAACP got involved. Okay, and the school reversed course. So a charter school in Utah has reversed course after backlash over a policy that would allow parents to opt their children out of a Black History Month instruction. Maria Montessori Academy Director Micah Hirokawa posted Friday to the North Ogden, Utah school's Facebook page that he had sent out a letter that allowed families to, quote, exercise their civil rights to not participate in Black History Month at the school, the Standard Examiner in Ogden, Utah first reported. So this is insulting. Once again, this is insulting. So you're going to allow parents to exercise their civil rights and opt their children out of an African American History Month lesson. This is what this fool did. Okay, so he posted on the school's Facebook page that he had sent out a letter that allowed families, quote, to exercise their civil rights to not participate in History Month at the school. Now, the letter included an opt-out form for parents to fill out after a few families asked not to participate. Now, I want to know how many families asked not to participate in American history lessons. I'm just curious. How many families opted to opt out of their children participating in American history lessons? The school's Facebook page appears to have been since taken down. Imagine that. Now, Micah Hirakawa confirmed in a statement posted to a Facebook group Sunday that the school had backtracked on its decision. Let's go look and see what they had to say. Utah Montessorians, okay. Here's what, let's flip this over. Here's what they had to say. As director of Maria Montessori Academy in North Ogden, you may have heard some alarming news. As our school works to change hearts and minds with grace and courtesy, it's been a rough road as we work to honor and follow each child's and each adult's personal journey. Please consider the following public statement as a full step in the right direction. Mahalo for all your aloha and support. Okay, so appears maybe he's Hawaiian. The Maria Montessori Academy Board of Directors and the school director have one primary goal: providing a quality and equitable education to all of our students. Celebrating Black History Month is part of our tradition. Y'all should bring me in to do an African American History Month presentation. Because, this is scary on multiple levels. First of all, I'm afraid to see what the hell they're teaching for Black History Month. One. Two, the fact that you would have families that would object to their child participating in Black History Month lessons. Guess y'all don't have too many Black friends, do you? Celebrating Black History Month is part of our tradition. We regret that after receiving requests, an opt-out form was sent out concerning activities planned during this month of celebration. I hope you're not going to do any slave reenactments, are you? I'm just, because sometimes, it's like you have some people, you have some white people who may mean well, but they just think they're like doing a good thing, doing slave reenactments. They're going to do, Abraham Lincoln reading the Emancipation Proclamation and slaves getting happy dancing or something like that. I mean, they think they're doing a good thing, but you're not. Okay, this is why this study right here from the Southern Poverty Law Center is so important. Teaching Hard History American Slavery. Teaching Hard History American Slavery from the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is why this is so important. Because, first of all, this study documents how the history of slavery is being incorrectly taught in schools all across the country. Right here may be one of them that is being incorrectly taught in. I don't know for certain. I have a hunch. And it goes through and shows how little our children know about the history of slavery. And it shows how they are It shows how little they know about the history of slavery, and it also shows it gives all types of recommendations on how to more correctly teach the history of slavery as well. So every school district across the country should use this. Every teacher should use this. It's free. Download it. I took it to the printer, got it printed up. It's at splcenter.org. splcenter.org. It's called Teaching Hard History, American Slavery. They did a survey of 1,000 high school seniors and found out how little they know about the history of slavery. If you don't understand the history of slavery, you really don't understand the history of this country. And then this ties into the history of African Americans. This ties all this is connected. This is all connected to the history of this country, connected to the U.S. Constitution, Civil Rights Movement, Reconstruction, Civil War, Jim Crow segregation, and it brings you right up to today and the structural inequities we're dealing with today. You can draw a straight line, okay? So this is why it's important to understand history, to understand how did you get to this point? What were the steps that brought you here? What were the policies and laws that put in place? So you understand how to solve a problem. So you understand how to get out of a predicament. And a people's history and culture teaches them how to deal with the problems of the past in the present and the future to meet the needs of the community also. So if you just look very quickly here at this study on page 9, it talks about how only 8% of high school seniors surveyed could identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. Only 8% of high school seniors surveyed could identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. 68% of high school seniors surveyed did not know that it took a constitutional amendment to formally end slavery. Okay, that was the 13th Amendment. Okay, so check this out at the Southern Poverty Law Center, splcenter.org, called Teaching Hard History, American Slavery. So if we flip back over here, we regret that after receiving requests, an opt-out form was sent out concerning activities planned during this month of celebration. We are grateful that families that initially had questions and concerns have willingly come to the table to resolve any differences. And at this time, no families are opting out of our planned activities, and we have removed this option. I sure hope y'all don't have. Y'all not going to do any reenactments of slave auctions, are you? I'm just, because they've done that in different schools too. They, I may need to call them or something. Okay, so in the future, we will handle all parental concerns on an individual basis. We are excited to celebrate the rich content of Black History Month at our school. Okay, all right, hopefully so. So, yeah. Okay, so if we go back to the article from USA Today. So the letter included an opt-out form for parents to fill out after a few families asked not to participate. I wonder why they didn't want to participate. The school's Facebook page appears to have since been taken down. Now, Michael Hirakawa confirmed in a statement posted to a Facebook group Sunday that the school had backtracked on this decision. Quote, "We are grateful that families that initially had questions and concerns have willingly come to the table to resolve." Okay, we read that. The decision followed widespread backlash from both the community and nationally, both the community and nationally. Now, Betty Sawyer, president of the Ogden branch of the NAACP, confirmed to the USA Today that she contacted the school early Saturday about its decision. The Standard Examiner reported that the school changed its mind later Saturday after they talked to Betty, Sister Betty. Quote, authentically, teaching Black history as American history allows our youth to develop the social and emotional skills, the social and emotional skills necessary to be inclusive of others, and cultivates a society in which all individuals have equal rights without discrimination based on race. Now, Sister Betty Sawyer said in a statement on Sunday night, quote, while this decision was recently reversed, we find its very consideration troubling. I'm with Sister Betty. This don't make no sense whatsoever. She invited Maria Montessori Academy to engage in dialogue with the chapter and revisit its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, parents and teachers also responded to the decision, arguing that giving parents the right to opt out enables racism. Quote, I was appalled to see the form sent out that allows parents to opt their kids out of this, and to hear that this is all because some parents have requested it. Now, I want to know, why did y'all request something like this? What do you request for your children to opt out of American history? So what is it about Black History Month lessons that you fear so much? What is it that you dislike so much? And to hear that this is all because some parents have requested, end quote, said one parent in a comment on the initial post. The Standard Examiner reported, quote, I echo others who are disappointed to hear this, and others who are disappointed to hear this was even ever made an issue in the first place by some families in our schools' communities. Now, Maria Montessori, which serves elementary and middle school students, incorporates Black History Month into its regular social studies and history lessons throughout February, Michael Hirakawa said. Data from the Utah State Board of Education shows that the academy has 322 students. 3 are Black, while about 70% are white. The data from the Utah State Board of Education shows the academy has 322 students. 3 are Black, while 7% of the students are white. No kidding. Never would have figured that one. Didn't see that one coming. Okay. All right. So check this out. So I want to find out what type of African American History Month. I want to know, do y'all know what the annual theme is for African American History Month? Do y'all deal with the annual theme, or you just recycle the same 15 to 20 sanitized Negroes every year? I'm just curious. I may have to make a phone call. Okay, so check out this article here. This is from USA Today. All right. Okay. Once again, we'll post the information here. Who still needs to register for the online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school? We're going to post this link here. It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course. Shanika said they need to register. The school needs to register. It's It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course. You can watch at your own pace. You don't have to be present. We do the class live, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, approximately. And it's 8 consecutive Tuesdays. But if you can't attend the class, you can watch it. When you can watch it at your own pace. And you can watch from around the world. Okay. So we just posted a link here. We deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with ancient Egypt. We deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. And we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place also. Okay. So we deal with book references. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have video clips, everything, articles. There's about 50 articles that I reference. So when you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, where is it here? When you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, right on the home page, let's see, let me flip back over. So a lot of people are asking me, what am I doing for African American History Month? So this is why we started this in the month of February. Okay, so you scroll down, you go right to our homepage, you see the information for the African History Network show, and you can listen to audio podcasts. You click right here, listen to audio podcasts of the show. We're on iHeartRadio as well. Download the iHeartRadio app. You can read articles that I write. Click right there. You have information for the online course. Click right here, register here. Takes you to the next page, and then click on enroll. All right, and you pay for it, enroll. As soon as you enroll, you can start watching the content from the 2019 class, because we still have it archived there. You can start watching that course content, and then I will register you into the new course that starts up February 9th. Okay. All right. We'll talk about Bob Marley tomorrow. We're out of time here. We also have the 15 DVD bundle pack, the Michael Imhotep Black History Month bundle pack. That's available as well at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's right on the homepage of our website. It includes 15 of my lectures, including one dealing with the whole history of African American History Month. Okay, so that's on sale $100. We have those shipping out daily. So check that out. You get all these presentations, Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization. You get my presentation dealing with Tuskegee Experiment of Untreated Syphilis on the Negro Male, lectures dealing with the film Black Panther, also lectures on Dr. King, Malcolm X, History of Black History Month, one dealing with the history of the Three-Fifths Compromise of 1787, a double lecture I did with Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book The First Americans Where Africans Documented Evidence. So he deals with that ancient African presence in the Americas, and I deal with great African women in history. So all that's in the bundle. All right. So look, hey, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Right now, it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.
For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com. Have you tasted the world famous No Frowny Brownie yet from the Pink Bakery? If not, what are you waiting for? They are vegan, gluten-free, and free of the big 8 allergens. While eating their No Frowny Brownies, the fabulous Miss Tabitha Brown said they were very good. Very good. And you know, if she says that, they are. The Pink Bakery is the first Black-owned, Big 8 allergen-free baking mix company. Go to thepinkbakery.com, that's thepinkbakery.com, to order their No Frowny Brownie mix today. Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products. Gain knowledge in minutes with Blacklist Ed. Blacklist Ed is an app that provides insightful summaries of books pertaining to the Black experience. As Black people, we know the importance of reading books to discover our incredible contributions to world history, to uplift our self-esteem, and to empower ourselves for our relentless fight for social justice. Unfortunately, with our busy lives, it feels like there is never enough time to read a book. Fortunately, there's a solution. With Blacklist Ed, their app provides key insights from best-selling books about the Black experience, therefore saving you time, increasing your knowledge, and empowering yourself through inspirational and actionable ideas. You can read or listen on the go. Start your free trial today by going to blacklisted.com. That's Black without the C, B-L-A-K. Or you can download the Blacklist Ed app from the App Store or Google Play. Blacklist Ed, empower yourself. Yaya Rule is a line of African print-inspired apparel catered to the Black community. The pieces include t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, dresses, skirts, activewear, bags, and other accessories and home decor. This brand offers a revived way for men and women to wear their Black pride and honor their African heritage anywhere at any time. This apparel line is for anyone, whether you are working in the corporate world, are an entrepreneur, or an artist. Their selection will allow you to casually let your pride shine or dress it up as wanted. It is for those who have already embraced African fabrics and for those who are just getting introduced to them. Reclaim and experience